Hi there, I thought I would do a couple of free videos on a couple of different ways to create kicks. One of my favourite tools is a little piece of software called bazzism. If you've never used it before, it simply creates a kick sound relevant to these parameters here, or it's basically a sine wave that's then, these are like a pitch envelope settings, and you also have a main envelope here, but we'll get to that in a minute. It's relatively easy to understand. Now I've created a little kind of bass loop with trillion, which sounds like this. And all I'm going to do is use bassism to create a kick that sits well with, or as well as I can get it to sit with a bass, and then we can use a bit of EQ and whatnot to shape them together. Now I'll just briefly go through the parameters, read the manual. It's only a couple of pages long, 4 pages I think. And it explains exactly what each bit does, but I'll briefly tell you what each section does. So what we've got here is the start frequency and the end frequency. So the start frequency at the moment is 4,940 Hz, and it sweeps down to 58 Hz. I'll let you hear what that sounds like at the moment. Straight away, that's a nice kick. So you can put in any start and end frequency. So if I just kind of put these right down to their minimum, so they're both at 20 Hz. Okay. So the high frequency is the one we want to start with. So I'll find a high frequency. Okay, let's say 5,000 Hz. Okay, it's nice and punchy, nice attack, and then we'll get the end frequency sorted out, something we want it to ramp down to. So if you can imagine, over time, kind of like this envelope here, this is the high frequency, that's the low frequency. And we're going to use this section here to sweep it down. So if you listen to what happens. I like that, so let's just leave it there. So it's sweeping those two frequencies. Next we have the T sweep, which is pretty much the duration of how long or how wide the sine wave sweep is. So if I manipulate that, you can see in the picture here, see the sine wave is now wider. Okay, it's closer together now, but it's a longer sweep, as you can hear it tailing out at the end there. And of course this is in milliseconds here, so it's a 248.2 millisecond sweep. Shorter and shorter and shorter. We then have the T end, which is basically the duration of the F end frequency. It's how long that frequency lasts after the sinus sweep is finished. So once the 1.5.4 millisecond sweep is finished, this is how long the 50 Hz sweep will last for after that, after the T sweep's finished. So let's have a listen. So it's the 50 Hz. So if I do that, it should sound a bit higher and clicky. Okay, now once I bring this out, you'll hear the 50 Hz coming in. I want it nice and short. Okay, next we have the V sweep, and that's just a velocity sweep. So over time that it takes for the frequency start, over time, you can change this section here to make it sweep. So let's just, the easiest way is just to listen. Okay. I kind of like it there. And we have the T decay, which is basically the decay time. You can see it working here. So we're just shortening the decay time of the envelope, or making it longer, that way. shorter that way. And then you've got things like polyphony, MIDI stop, and of course the volume. The volume, I always leave it 0 dB. Polyphony is pretty much, it just allows the kick to run into the next kick. So if you've got two kicks that are overlapping, they will both play to the end of the sample. MIDI stop, the kicks will be stopped by the MIDI off, so the kick will stop wherever the MIDI off message is. So far we've got okay, I can hear a little fuzz there, is there? Yeah, there's a bass note. I'm not going to go through, I'm just moving that bass note off the kick because I don't want to go through sidechain compression and stuff on this, just so you can hear it. So that sounds okay to me, that kick sounds good. However, you can then come into the envelope and shape it further. This just allows you to control the sweep time, really. The bass notes, or the bass end of the sweep. This is the high frequency end of the sweep. You can add up to 8 nodes, I believe. If you just double click, you can get another node. If you left click on it and drag it off, it will disappear. So you can now shape the sound even further. So if I just play the kick, if I bring this one down, all the high frequencies will disappear. This one will remove all the low frequencies. And everything in between. So if I just add a couple of nodes, let's say, see what happens. But what I will do is play the bass at the same time and try and tune them in. Okay, that'll do. You can see what's happening. It's that envelope's changing the sweep over time. It's like a shaping tool. It allows you to shape the overall sound to fit more with your bass sound. So what we got? Okay, so that's it really. Read the manual. There's only 4 pages, and it explains a little bit more detail of what these are. But now that I've said that, I very seldom use this tool in that kind of technical form. Now I'll just do it by ear, but listening to the bass at the same time. Okay. Too clicky. Okay, and I'm just going to mess around with the envelope, give myself a couple of nodes to work with. Okay, I kind of like that. So that's it. It's very easy to use.